Did the white man came here to discover the river in this place? Or the sandy, no. So, but we must not perpetually blame the white man, because we have also have access to blame, because we've been charged for a long time. But the white man did a fantastic job ensuring that the people they left behind to run Nigeria, people don't know they are left from their right. And it's kept handing over from that generation of failed individuals from one generation to the other until the military took over. And why you know how the military destroyed Nigeria is that the people who used to join the military are members of families who don't do well. So when they went and joined the military, they have grudge against society that they used to be mocked as military men. Some of them were not educated, but they had a gun and they used it to ruin Nigeria. And when some of them retired, they went and changed their uniform, came back again, and continued the ruination of Nigeria. That's where we are today. Leadership is key, and the AAC understands these ramifications, and we have decided that we will not take it, on an incremental step-by-step basis, because this is a country that has been destroyed over the years, and the destruction needs immediate and a fixative process by those of us who are exposed, who have competence and understanding of how to carry out this revolution of the Nigerian state and nation. Because we've gone around the country, gathered information, met with so many people around the country, spoken to them, and understood that without this very radical surgical operation in Nigeria, we'll be back here on this radio show, maybe another 10, 20 years.
Lamenting.
We'll be lamenting. We'll become the family of lamenters. And that should not be our lot. Especially considering that we have a lot of people who have left Nigeria, who are back in Nigeria, who are growing up in Nigeria, who are making things happen in their own private lives, and also helping other countries to develop. Over 8,000 doctors left Nigeria between 2020 and 2022. I don't know how many have left since
this new year.
over the weekend. And they are going to be doing well in other climes. Nigeria is the only place where they weren't doing well. You'll be surprised that some of them have already settled down, started buying homes, buying cars.
They fixed their lives.
Their lives are doing well. They're already moving their families over there. The system has provided their children great schools. The only thing they have no control over is cold weather for those of them who are in Europe and America. Yeah, well, you get used to it over time. But why do you think things work for them in those places and it doesn't work for them here?
Yeah.
It's purely a leadership problem. It's a structural problem. So when we say we want to restructure Nigeria, we are not just saying it because we feel like it's the coolest thing to say or it's the sexiest thing to engage in. No, it is because it requires fundamental restructuring. But it's not the restructuring of who controls resources alone. It's a restructuring of how we manage our relationships. That's why we call foundational intervention in our party. And the rest are institutional. The foundational is fix the country so that people can agree to live in this country and determine how they live together in Nigeria and who gets what. And the second aspect is institutional, all this health, good roads, but without the foundational, the institutional cannot work. The Nigerian constitution is not a legitimate constitution. It didn't go through a referendum. It did not have the input of the people. You don't just promulgate a constitution into existence. You must have the imprimatur of the people. That is why every constitution starts with that sentence. We the people.
But comrade, sorry to cut in. If you are elected as president, you would have to still work with that same constitution because you will be sworn in with that constitution.
But how are you sure that I don't want to be sworn in with that? That's what I'm saying, that I'm going there to change it. It doesn't mean that it will happen on day one.
Okay.
But on day one, I can make it very clear that this constitution, as far as president of Nigeria, is something we have to deal with right away. And I don't see anybody in Nigeria who would disagree with creating a new constitution that can accommodate all our differences. Yes.
But are you ready to swim the murky waters of legislative maneuvering as we have it?
What have I done my entire life? It's shaking the system to its roots. That's what I've done since I was as a teenager. So I'm not going to fight them, but I'll tell them the people sent you here and this is what they want. So we slug it out until we get. But I don't think that there's anybody on a serious note, whether you are a senator or a House of Rep member, who disagrees with the fact that Nigeria needs to be restructured. But my own prescription that the best restructuring you can do is to have a document called the Constitution that accommodates people who want state police, people who want to control their resources, people who want other kinds of things. Some people just want the referendum to be included in the Constitution.
What do you think about the oil sector?
The oil sector
and the issue of subsidy.
The oil sector is a criminal sector in Nigeria. And I will address subsidy by saying everybody agrees on one thing, that subsidy is fraud in Nigeria. But what most of them don't talk about is how to fix the problem. Their whole solution to the problem is to remove subsidy. It is not the solution. It's like parking a trailer, or if you are driving a trailer uphill, right, and you haven't been able to fix it. It breaks down, and you put shock in it, those stoppers on the tire, and you haven't fixed your trailer, right? But my suggestion is that beyond that, you first and foremost fix your 4 refineries. It makes no sense on earth that you have somebody build a new refinery in Lagos that has the biggest capacity in Africa, according to them, and you cannot fix your own refinery.
As a federal government,
you go and buy shares.
$2.something billion
shares in the private sector, in the private refinery. You invest in it, but you cannot fix your refineries that requires maybe $2.5 billion or $3 billion. Let's say it's $4 billion.
Doing $10 billion.
Yes. At least the 4 refineries will do better than the biggest one that you have just invested. Stupidity. But where would you find it except with politicians? So I have given you the analogy. People say it because it is popular to say it for their foreign friends who see Nigeria as a dumping ground for ideas and fake products. That's why you hear them saying, we'll remove subsidy. How do you remove subsidy for 200 million people? And you don't expect them to either die or they will resist it. This is where wasting your time. Let him say that somebody that has not recovered from NSAS that affected one toll gate that he's interested in is saying that he doesn't care about protest. He doesn't know what he's saying. You understand? Tinubu doesn't know what he's saying. But today is not about him. I will nationalize the NNPC.
Okay.
The NNPC is a cesspool of corruption. You cannot privatize corruption and get any benefit from it. It's the Nigerian people's property. The same people who are privatizing NNPC are Nigerians. Most of them, in fact, the board of the NNPC were former politicians. So if they run down Nigeria, they will still run down the NNPC. Most of them, a lot of politicians today were private sector people who ran down their companies. But then you now sell the public money to them and you expect them to run it. It's not going to work. Look at what they did with the power sector. They sold the power sectors at giving away prices. They sold plants that they built at $700 million to people for $2 million. But go and ask. The same federal government has to provide letter of credit to the same companies.
Continue to support
them. They have to give them grants.
The former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes.
And then to everybody that believes that, well, Obi is different from others, he's a new breed, he's not part of the old order. Of course, you also find a lot of his supporters say, oh, he's not a saint, but
this is the first time I'm calm listening to this kind of question.
No, it is the first time. Well, maybe our studio is cozy enough to make it calm.
The ambience here is fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
But you see, look at Obasanjo historically. He has never supported anything that will make Nigeria work. In 1979, Nigeria had the opportunity to have elected one of the best presidents in its history, Obafemi Awolowo.
Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
What did Obasanjo do? He went against him. They even went and did a calculation they called 12 to 3rd to make sure that his numbers
never tally.
That's number one. In 1993, Obasanjo went a notch higher. We voted for Abiola in this country. When I say we, I didn't vote because I wasn't interested. And he won the election. Obasanjo and Babangida and the others met secretly. That Abiola is not the Messiah Nigeria needed. They frustrated that election. But Nemesis caught up with him, Okama. He was arrested, detained, and tried for treason and sentenced. I don't know if he was sentenced to death, either death or life. Whichever one he was sentenced for was as bad as death. What happened? He went to prison. They decided that he should be freed, even though he had been convicted before Abiola, who was not convicted. They made the arrangement, brought him to power. What did Obasanjo do for 8 years? He brought some of the worst criminals into this country. He engaged in massacre, Zaki Biam, OD. He manipulated the process and then wanted to do a third term. I will end it here so that it doesn't take it. And then, I mean, we're looking at time. It's like, Obasanjo has never in the history of this country taken a decision in the interest of Nigeria. Never. And that is why his biggest problem in life is to be bigger than Obafemi Awolowo. But he keeps getting stunted and he shrinks every time he takes a decision. So he has done it again by choosing somebody he knows. Obasanjo one time chose a dead person to be president of Nigeria and called him on the phone asking me if he's dead. And the man died. That was Musa Yar'Adua. So he knew that Obi is not going to take Nigeria anywhere. Just as he knew that Umar Yar'Adua would not take Nigeria anywhere. Just as he knew that Jonathan would not take Nigeria anywhere. But he supported them anyway. He supported Buhari too in 2015. So you tell me, if Obasanjo ever did anything in the interest of Nigeria, he has never done it before. It's the reason why I can never visit him. I can never visit Babangida or any of these former head of states, whether military or civilian. Never. Because what Fela said, did you remember the song Fela said? He said, the same old politicians will rule Nigeria before. The same old politicians will rule Nigeria before. Obasanjo got them, we brought them together. Because if you don't finish, you don't finish, you don't finish. That was Fela. It's the same old politicians who have ruled Nigeria before that he brought back again. Obi was governor of a state for 8 years. I can go to my village and do Christmas. Obi cannot go to his own and do Christmas. He's living in Lagos.